All right, so today I want to set up some sort of shortcut here in iTerm. There's an inspector I like to use, and I don't think there's any sort of shortcut to open this up or refresh it. So I want to set something up that I can just activate with probably a Stream Deck button, and it'll click on this button here. So I think I have to open up the script console first to get to that. Then the inspector, though I'll check the Python API for iTerm to make sure about that. But what I want to show you right now is if I have no other approach to get to this button here, I set up a little helper. You could think of it as like a UI accessibility element inspector type tool. I just don't like any of the other inspectors, so I set this up. And so watch what happens here if I activate this. So you can see the little black window that pops up. Whatever control I point at, it's going to show that, and it's going to show it with respect to that particular control. Now, that one spans the entire height of the screen, so it has to overlap it a little bit. But if I come down here to the inspector button, you can see now the little pop-up window, small font so that I can get a lot in there. I can see details about the element and actually filter down the attributes because there's only a few I really care about. Things like the description or text, something I can use to identify that button. So when I'm writing a script, I can use that to access it. And I've also set this up so no longer am I really relying on AppleScript. Instead, I want to rely on Hammerspoon now and their AXUIElementInspector API, basically. So their accessibility framework wrapper for Hammerspoon. But if I wanted to with AppleScript, I also have this slightly older approach to do the same thing here. If I just cancel out of this here, if I activate a different shortcut here, in this case, you can see I pop open a window and I actually describe the control hierarchy of whatever I'm pointed at. So this is the inspector button again. And at the very top of this here, I actually include iTerm for being able to access. In this case, it looks like the window is the very topmost thing that it's recognizing. Now, I might try to move around and see if I can get it to recognize the button, but sometimes that's just difficult to do. All right, so you can see right here, the Apple script at the very top indicates how I can get access to that button. So I actually could just literally copy this here, and I could open up Script Debugger if I wanted to use AppleScript for this. Make a new script here, paste that in. And then, of course, I'm going to need a... All right, so now that looks like that is successful. I probably should have it spit out the tell just so I can copy and paste that. But if I run this now, all right, you can see over in the variable inspector, there's the button right there. So I literally could take this and click on this. In fact, let me just show you that this works right here. Let's do this. We'll do click, and then it's going to be inspector. All right, so you can see right now, if I run the script, there you go. You can see it opens up the inspector. So now I could use this. I could bind this to a keyboard shortcut or a button on my Stream Deck and get that to open up then. So AppleScript is one route to go, but also Hammerspoon is another route to go. So if you do a lot of accessibility scripting and you use Hammerspoon, or you're not afraid to start using Hammerspoon, you basically just plug in a little app that starts and runs in the background, and you can use it to script a bunch of things as well. And so in the case of Hammerspoon here, I'll come back down here and activate my little pointer that can point at things. Oh, another thing I set up with this inspector, if I want to move up the control hierarchy, you can see this is a button. It's directly under a window. If I want to move up to the window, I have a keyboard shortcut to move up a level. There's a window. I can even move up a level again. And this one's blue because it's the application. So I can move up and down the control hierarchy. I thought that would be helpful to have instead of needing to move my mouse always. Sometimes it's nice to be able to move up and down that hierarchy. And if I come down to the button, maybe I'm interested in what its neighbors are or its sibling elements. And you can see right here, actually, when I came back down, then this time it's first finding the scroll area that I pointed at. And then if I use right here, it can move through the various sibling elements until eventually I get to the inspector button. I find that helpful. Basically, I can navigate the entire hierarchy of controls up and down one level at a time and left and right to move through siblings. I find that helpful, and I can see all the details that I care about any one of these controls. If I want to maybe make a decision, instead of using the button directly, maybe I want to use the container it's inside of, well, then I can go up a level and grab that information. Or maybe I want to drill down a little bit further here. Maybe I want to go into this particular scroll area. You can see I've drilled all the way down into a row and a cell inside the table. I can move up here, move between the cells there, up again, move between the rows here. Or did I move between? Yeah, move between the rows here is going to be left and right, even though it's up and down. Those are siblings. So I find this to be really helpful. If you're curious about this, as always, if you come out to my .files repo here, I'll show you where this is at. I have an entire directory, .config/Hammerspoon. Everything's inside of there. And actually, if I search for the shortcut here, it's a T shortcut that activates that little pointer thing with the black box. Yeah, okay, so it's this UI callout script here. So yeah, it's right at the top level here, UI callouts.lua. And then the window that popped up with the Apple script inside of it at the very top, that is this UI elements here. There's a HTML, JavaScript, and then there's the Lua for it. So basically that window pop open, that's a browser window. And so this is the page that's running. And then I just stick a bunch of stuff inside of there that I use Lua to find about the control hierarchy. So look at basically these 4 files, and you might have to grab some tangential files that they link to. And anyways, you can piece this back together and have this working on your system then. And it'll work in any application. It's not just iTerm. Any application I go to, I can, of course, activate the pointer, and I can start pointing through the entire control hierarchy. And I just like that it follows your mouse. So wherever you're looking, you're not looking off on another screen or to the right at an element inspector and then trying to find a way to freeze it. Oh, if you want to freeze, the equivalent there would be to copy whatever's inside of here. And in this case, if I want to copy, I can activate yet another shortcut. I can copy, and it'll copy that control hierarchy that you just saw a moment ago there. And now if I just come over here and just paste this in, you can see there's that control hierarchy. Now that's using a set of functions that I've defined here inside of Hammerspoon with Lua. You can get access to those as well, though. It's just a simple way to refer to the window, the split group, the split group, the split group, the scroll area, the text area, etc. No different than you'd be doing if you're over inside of AppleScript, but just using Lua instead. And then as far as the keyboard shortcuts, here's one of them actually. So this is the entry point then to turn on that little element inspector. So just trace everything from here and you'll get all the pieces that you need. All right, now to wrap this up, I also need to make sure the script console is opened up. And for that, I could do something simple. It's got a keyboard shortcut. So I could just come over to Keyboard Maestro and there's a keyboard shortcut or there's a menu entry for that. Do menu, just do select or show a menu, put that right before the AppleScript. And in this case, I can just pick, go to iTerm, and I think it's under scripts, console. Yep. I could actually check to see if it's open already, but it doesn't hurt to just activate this. It's probably going to be fast enough. Yeah, there you go. Look how fast that was to open up the scripting inspector as well as the scripting console. So that's perfectly sufficient for what I need here. Again, that's plenty fast. So I think that's good for now. And of course, yeah, the last step here is going to be adding a Stream Deck button, which later I'll talk about my Hammerspoon control of a Stream Deck. I'm about halfway there rewriting things so I can just get rid of this stupid Stream Deck application that just sucks. But it's not quite there yet, so I've got some work to do on it. We'll see if I get to that, and I'll have a video about that eventually. For now, let's do the third one. This is where I keep all my device-specific buttons usually. I have one Stream Deck that's global, and then I have 2 more that can be application-specific. It's a strategy I like, actually. Basically, the global one, it never changes. It always has the same buttons on it. And then the 2 over on the right tend to have application-specific profiles. The middle one, though, can also have a set of global buttons that are used less often, just in case I don't have app-specific buttons. So that's a strategy I actually like here, is kind of have a gradient of buttons here. These are global ones, and these are app-specific. It's a nice way to know where to go. All right, so let's just I've got a button to restart the script that I have inside of the script console. So let's make something right next to that, actually. I can add a Keyboard Maestro macro link, and I should be able to pick, yep, open refresh inspector. And for right now, I'll just do, actually, I'll call it refresh inspector. That way I know it's always open. Okay. I'll know where it's at just because it's right next to another button I use all the time. I'm going to set this to a blank icon. I wish they had a button in here to allow you to make the background blank. I don't know why you want that stupid command key on every single button, but whatever. Let's do this. Let's just test this out here. So come over to iTerm and refresh. There you go. Got everything I want. And if I close this tab and then come and hit the button again, there you go. You can see it refreshes, and now it only has 4 tabs. And if I open up 2 more and refresh, again, it has 6 now. One optimization would be to look for the window so I'm not flashing things around. I'll do that next, but I think this is a good stopping part for now.